Hello and welcome to Light Language, the direct transmission. This is just the name of this section. So, the overview that I have for the way that I want to teach you about this, and just understand where I'm coming from is my own perspective. And honestly, this whole thing should be as non intellectual as possible. However, here we are just going over the bare minimum of things that we possibly can so that you can be well prefaced for going into this. There are some things that are really important that we do talk about. There's a lot of other things that are honestly better left to just feel the energy and get into the state. The majority of what this program is just activations and guiding you into the experience yourself. So it's going to be the bare minimum of words. So I would suggest to pay attention as carefully as you can. So the first part is going to be some preliminary stuff. Next thing I'm calling evoking the wave. The next part is naming things because humans love to do that. And then we have intention, which is probably the most important thing to do with any magical working or activations or just going about your life in general. Then we have the preparation, which is ultimately how to prepare to get into the state. And then moving energy, what that's all about, staying protected, and creative energy. So let's get into it. The preliminary stuff. So our goal essentially is to activate you. That is simple as we can possibly put it. We just want to activate you. That's all. Everything from there is up to you. We will share our general framework. That's what works for us. And honestly, everyone's going to have their own framework. Everyone got activated into this thing in their own way. A lot of people now are getting activated in a similar way that you're getting activated, which is essentially, not necessarily going through a program, but by virtue of experiencing someone else's version of it. So we're highly, it's highly replicatable. Let's put it that way. Plus, we're also going to share some other things to consider, which is sprinkled throughout. Everyone has their own approach to this, so take ours with a pinch of salt, as I've mentioned, and I will probably say the entire time. So, what I'm calling evoking the wave, okay? There is a wave of energy that is available to you at any moment in time. It can take the form of song, dance, wisdom, creativity, divine inspiration. Insert anything that all humans long for. Anything aside from food and water and shelter, we long for this creativity, these ecstatic experiences in song, dance. Most forms of traditional religion have something to do with this in there. Their overall, sometimes dogma, but sometimes like very potent scripts are written from divine inspiration. And this wave is available to us all. There are not special people. Hopefully, you already understand that. That's a story for another time, and you can inquire on your own, but there are no special people. We all have access to all of this stuff. The greatest trick we've ever played on ourselves was to give our power away and look to other people and think that they have something that we don't, and therefore they should be worshipped or praised for it, right? In its rawest form, expressed verbally, right? So its rawest form, as far as this wave is concerned, in its rawest form, expressed verbally, it will sound to some degree like light language. Why I'm saying to some degree is because everybody's light language sounds different, and sometimes you'll have different energies moving through you, which will have different vibes to them. I have had all kinds of different sounds come through me. Then you can kind of start to tailor it. And that's where the naming thing can make sense to some people. It's like, okay, I feel like I'm connecting with this energy. And you can get a little bit more specific. But when we're first starting out, it's great to just allow that raw energy to come through you. Of course, after you've already protected yourself and activated the space and come into it with the greatest intention that you possibly can. So continuing on, evoking the wave is a backwards way of saying that this wave is already flowing. We're not actually evoking it. It's not like this wave is somewhere else and we got to be like, come on, wave. Come on, that wave isn't coming over here and I really, no, it's always here. It's always flowing. It's just us to step, up to us to step into the stream. So it's up to you to hop onto it, start riding it, and see how you like it. So it's kind of like if you are out amongst the waves and there's a whole bunch of waves crashing and you're standing there and you're getting tossed around and you're just not really riding any waves, but the waves are always coming at you. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like life always has waves of whatever coming at you. You can ride those waves or they can just run into you. And when they run into you, it feels very different than when you're riding them. This is something that we can also apply to a lot of different growth-based perspectives. Right now, we're applying it to light language. But honestly, if you use this as a springboard to all of your growth as an idea, like how can I ride this wave better? Goodness, this is going to upgrade you in every single way you could ever want to. So it's up to you to start to hop on it, start riding it, and see how you like it. Everyone likes it because you are a creator. And this energy that we're tapping into, this is unadulterated creative energy that you can use for whatever you like. And usually what humans use it for is all the things that all the other humans already like to do. So it's very easy to kind of by proxy look around and see what you want to explore doing once you've tapped into this energy. So now we're going to get into the naming things. So I have been doing light language and sound healing since before I knew they were even called that. I was told what they were called. So I was literally doing sound baths, meditating with people, playing the didgeridoo, the bowls and stuff. And somebody came to me after a year and was like, "Oh, you're doing a sound bath." I didn't call it that. I didn't even know what that was. I don't know what that was. And honestly, the word sound bath sounded really awkward because just bath, like we're not bathing together. I don't know, like it makes me think of a bathhouse or something, right? And a lot of people say that. I prefer to call it sound, healing or sound therapy or something like that. Okay, so naming things can be helpful as a reference point, but it can also be a massive distraction. When we open up ourselves to receive what I'll call infinite intelligent energy, we need to get out of the way. And naming things does not help this process whatsoever. So, when people are wanting to name, it's from this star system, or it's from the inner earth beings over here, or blah, blah, blah. And I just want to give credit where credit is due. Infinite intelligent energy. Intelligent infinity is what they use in the book, The Raw Material. And that is a very good descriptive term of when we are really getting out of our own way and we're tapping into source. So think of a person who requires assistance. Let's say on the side of the road, there's a person that has a broke down tire. You go over and help them, and they start asking you your whole life story from A to Z before they let you help them. Okay? But, what if I want to know if this is Pleiadian or Arcturian energy? I want you to know that this is your prerogative. You can ask all of these questions. You can ask them questions. You can ask questions about what it's like to be them. But the thing is, if you think about if you're just trying to help someone with a broken down tire, you don't have all day, you really don't care about small talk. It's fine if someone asks you like, "Oh, where did you grow up? Oh, what's your family like?" It's like, do you think the highest vibrational being is going to be interested in that kind of a convo, especially when they're just trying to help you, especially when they see, even this, you can be like seeing a child trying to walk and they fall down and you're just like walking by, you got somewhere to be and they fall down and you pick them up. And then, hey, you continue on. You don't necessarily get into a whole conversation about it. See, we are just here as humans. We are like broken down beings, right? If you see someone that's doing good, you don't even think about trying to help them because they're fine, right? As humans here, we're essentially all trying to help each other because each other are not doing particularly well. But if we were doing good, how many conversations do we need to have when we are doing good? How much inquiry does someone need to have into your life before they start applying, good energy to their life? Does it take any, right? Does a person's personal story, is it necessary for you to start doing something good for yourself? That's all that I have to say here, because there's a lot of detours. Let's just call it that, right? Naming things is essentially like a very long, and it can be an infinite detour. I just mentioned raw material, and they had brought up one thing at one point, which I'm referencing them because they are a channeled energy, and we are doing this in a channeled way. And they had just continually asked them questions about names and names and names. And there's like, you guys have an affinity for naming things, hey? Because when we are actually in spirit, we recognize each other by each other's vibration and core signature energy. If that resonates with you, you've probably already experienced that. That you just know someone based on the vibe, which is a collaborative co-creation when you are interacting with them. And that is more true as a description of who or what they are than a word or a story or where'd you come from, anyways. So just put yourself in their position. They want to assist you. Talking in circles for no reason is truly an unconscious human thing to do. Once again, though, this is your prerogative, and I won't stop you. It just may limit the type of being that you can interact with. So, have you heard of an enlightened master, Nisargadatta Maharaj, Ramana Maharshi, Lao Tzu? They help people, but they do not small talk. As far as I'm concerned, these are some of the highest level teachers that have ever lived. There are plenty of them, but they never small talk. They are the opposite of small talk, and they are the most helpful when it comes to liberating yourself from suffering and connecting to source. Now, when you are dealing with invisible forces, this is the thing. These beings, you have, sometimes videos, sometimes pictures, books of them, where you can see consistently what their teachings are. But when you're dealing with invisible forces, it's our goal to connect with the highest vibration beings that we possibly can. You just have to ask yourself, what do you think interests them? I can answer that for you, okay? What interests them is your highest growth in the most efficient way possible. Because whether you like it or not, every being that has ever existed, including the Almighty Source God, whatever you want to call it, has an agenda. And the agenda serves them, but also often, if we're connecting with positive beings, serves you as well. Okay? And that is a very important thing to pay very close attention to, is that this being does want to help you, but it wants to help you as long as it serves them as well. Or else, boom, they're gone, right? All of these teachers had massive boundaries, just so you know, around people that were just there for no reason, just there asking dumb questions. It's a very, very common thing, and something that honestly I think nobody talks about. So hopefully this is resonating with you. If it's not, don't worry about it. I'll be done soon. When we channel, we are asking for assistance in some way. The more pure the calling, the more pure the source. And here we get into intention. If our goal is to contact celestial beings for the sake of feeling special, then we will actually be attracting lower level astral beings. These beings will pose as the beings in which you seek to connect with. So if you're like, I really want to connect with Kali, because I heard that Kali energy is the most powerful, and who knows, whatever belief system that you have. Even when you are trying to be specific about who you are channeling, you're essentially doing it wrong, right? The goal here is to tap into the wave. You are a egocentric being that is a human that has the potential to tap into its highest essence, which is its higher self, okay? That energy is flowing through your higher self. Who is flowing through with your higher self isn't so important. It really is not so important. unless you make it important. But what I'm telling you is it is going to impede the purity in which is going to flow through you. So when we serve, i.e. the flat tire or anything, if we wish to feel special for it or superior in some way, like, oh yeah, I came to help you with this flat tire and, I'm doing such a good thing and I'm helping you out. It's something that a lot of humans do. And, sometimes you can't omit the process of becoming aware of yourself in a very, mundane way, because we have to go through some of these patterns. Hopefully, though, I am helping you to become aware of it before it comes up. So if we want to feel special for it or superior in some way, then that is indicative of the impurity of our service. That impurity is out of alignment with a pure intention, which is essentially going to tap us to the highest vibe in beings, bring through the highest vibrational energy, and literally be healing. The opposite is, I want to be special, I want to be different, I want people to look up to me. That is creating what we call distortion, and that is essentially going to create dis-ease, because any distortion that's out of harmony with, this flow of energy is going to get stuck and create blockages. So this is something that is, once again, unconscious. However, hopefully mentioning this serves you. So when I'm saying it's unconscious, like a lot of these things, you're not going to be able to omit and just be like, oh, he told me about it, so now I won't do it. All of this kind of stuff, right? It's important to know that you're only going to be able to acknowledge and fully absorb that which you are already in vibrational proximity to, as far as where your journey is at. If you're not really at a journey quite yet where you can make sense of all of this, then that's okay. You will continue on and do what you do, but hopefully me mentioning it, plants a seed somewhere. So our intention, just as a human being, is in constant and continual refinement. One quote that people often use is, the road to hell was paved with good intentions, usually insert communism. It is highly valuable to have the best of intentions always, but just be willing to adjust these as you go, because you are always going to find holes in your intentions and impurities. So this means to recognize the impurities of your intentions as they arise naturally through the manifestations of your life. So anytime you intend for an outcome and it was anything other than what your ideal was, this is where you must refine. So if you go, well, my ideal intention was to do something, well, now I'm in this place where I don't really know. Well, my intention was good, but the outcome was bad. Okay, well, if your intention was good, but the outcome was bad, you've got to just look clear and see yourself. And ultimately, the universe is a feedback mechanism that is going to show you, especially when we're getting into a channeling state, because a bad outcome is feeling energetically drained, feeling like, I don't know if I like channeling, all of this stuff. But it's also part of the process of moving energies through your body that are already impure. So this is the thing. It does take a little bit of nuance, and hopefully by you asking us questions in the Facebook group and all of that, you guys can learn a little bit more and feel like you're supported, especially when there are times where you're like, is this supposed to be happening? I feel uncomfortable, or my dreams are getting a little bonkers. Please help me out. Like, have you guys experienced this? And yes, we've experienced everything. So it'll be very rare for there to be an experience that you're experiencing at the earlier part of your journey that we haven't already gone through, because it's honestly, it's like these flowers in the background. It's a blooming process. We are blooming. And when the flower is just blooming, it's all doing the same thing, right? So when you are saying to yourself to do with this intention stuff, just saying to yourself, oh, well, that didn't work out, so I guess I had bad intentions. Just like when people are law of attracting, right? And then they're like, oh, well, I called this into my vortex, and now I didn't get the thing that I wanted, right? Well, often it's not so much that you had bad intentions, it's more so much that your intentions were just impure, right? It's like if you want a specific thing, that's an impure intention through and through. And we can talk about that another time, but everything to do with our intentions must be vague. So I'm going like, I want to channel Kali. You must be going, I want to channel the highest vibrational energy for the good of all beings involved, myself included, so that that energy radiates into everyone around me, right? That enables the correct beings to come through. You don't even know if whoever you want to call in is the highest vibing being that you can possibly interact with. Because I can tell you, some of these beings have been interacting with humans for thousands of years. You think humans were high vibe back then? Goodness, like heck no. We have been transmuting the darkness for eons now, and we're getting better and better. In case you can't tell, and if you can't tell, you're looking in the wrong direction. So just saying to yourself, let's get back into this. Oh, so I guess I had bad intentions, or I guess that must have been my ego. Whew, that is not a satisfactory transmutation of darkness into light, which is the purification of your intention. What we need to do is be specific about where that intention was misguided, or we were in some way deceiving ourselves. One thing nowadays that can be quite obvious, right? Light language can seem like a mysterious phenomenon, and maybe that we want to get included, okay? So one way that we might be deceiving ourselves is by going, well, everybody else is doing it, and this seems so cool, and I want to learn how to do it because I want to feel special, or I want to be included, or whatever, right? Not to say that that is a bad intention. It is an impure intention. Doesn't mean that you can start this whole thing off of the draw having a pure intention. You cannot. So we always must be seeing that we must refine our intention as we go, and we cannot stop the process of refinement. And we are never there until we are at a place where literally there is no more discomfort. Because any discomfort is always showing us a mirrored representative of the reality that we are creating, something that we don't prefer, and something that must be redirected into harmony. Hopefully this is all making sense to you. So let's get into our preparation. One way to keep this pure is to have some sort of a prep. So especially when we're starting out, especially when we don't have pure intention, because you don't need to, just so you know, you don't need to do any preparation when your intention is pure. You don't have to do any of this stuff, but do not fool yourself, right? I still do the preparation stuff because it's just a good practice to have, and it's something that will it will never hurt. Let's put it that way, okay? So one way to keep this preparation pure and the space pure is to have some sort of a prep. So a lot of people like to do like some deep breathing for a few minutes before, 10 minutes, light sage, meditate earlier in the day or right before, pray, same thing, earlier in the day, night before. Ideally, these types of things are already integrated into your life because you're just going to be that much more pure of a channel. Then do some sort of a declaration before beginning. Like, it's very important that we know where we're coming from, and the more that we state this kind of a thing, it these words have power. Every word that you say has power. Okay, so when you're saying these kinds of words, they're doing something. Okay, just like when we say harmful things, it's doing something, whether you like to admit it or not. It's doing something. So this is an example. Write your own or use this one if you think it's cool. I just wrote this off the cuff. This is not, I would never pull this out and read this because I would just say whatever is, flowing through me at the moment, kind of like channeling. So I am doing this as my highest expression of excitement and joy for the healing and expansion of all beings who experience it. And from that place, I call upon all beings who resonate with this intention. Be with me now, I open to you, and I receive you. So the main tenets here, right, is just like, I am doing this, and it's my highest, like, why are you doing it? For the healing and expansion of all beings who experience it, all the beings around you. And from that place, we call upon unseen beings, essentially, who resonate with this intention. And then we open up. right? You never know what you're going to get. Could be something far beyond your wildest imagination. And often it is. Let's put it that way, especially when you're non-specific. So then when you feel an energy want to enter you, right? The way that you're going to be feeling this is sometimes you can feel it in your throat, your third eye, your crown. Sometimes you can feel it moving through your back as an energy in your nervous system. If you've ever had tingles, that kind of a thing. It's important not to be like desperate about the experience and how it's coming through. Just know that at the very first, your senses might be a little dull or numb. So just let it kind of happen in whatever way it needs to happen. So then when you feel that energy want to enter you, even if you're not feeling much of anything, still do this practice, okay? Be sure to challenge it in the name of, okay? So you can insert whatever name resonates with you. So you could say, I challenge this energy to only be in the highest good of all beings and the name of Jesus, God, Buddha, Krishna, whatever you want to do. Or you could say, in the name of my highest self, something like that. Why we want to do that is because deceptive beings, it's hard to explain, but even in the world that we are now, like deceptive beings, it becomes very obvious when they're deceptive, right? In some cases, not with politicians and stuff, but that kind of thing is, it's tricky because they're in a position where they're doing something that is also benefiting us. Whereas if you're connecting with a being that wants to deceive you and you essentially challenge it in these highest intentions, if you challenge it in the highest intentions, okay, and then you get a positive being that comes through, and then you start asking it dumb questions like, where's it from, and what's your name, and who'd you this, that, then a negative being can actually come through because it's not in resonance. So it's not just that you're challenging it. It's like this is beginning the process of the interaction that you're having with this being. And if it's the embarking on this process that starts you off at least on the right foot of that, I want to be doing, right, what I had just explained. I want to do this in the service of all beings. It's like, is it in the service of all beings to know a story? No, never, never, ever, ever. So just putting that through. So if you do not have a name to work with, then just use my higher or highest self. And from this place, just always know that you are in control. And why you're in control is because we're doing this from a light channeling state. It's not a deep trance state that you become completely unaware of what's happening. You become somewhat subperceptually less aware, but you can always just pull yourself back at any point. So we want to just let the energy flow through us the best we can. That's it. And it becomes easier with time and it becomes more fun. And then eventually you can start channeling sometimes, if this is how it flows through you, in English and do question answers and be serving people in that way. And sometimes what can be happening is you can just start getting super creative about all of your endeavors and endeavors you never even knew you wanted to do. So this is kind of like learning dance moves or how to play an instrument. At first, it kind of sucks and it's fumbly and you feel uncomfortable and you're like, especially when you're doing it in front of people, it can be like daunting. But with a little bit of calibration in our nervous system and muscle memory, especially when we're doing hand movements and all of that kind of a thing, when we first do it, can feel a little bit awkward. Slowly, it just starts to flow, and then your hands will kind of subconsciously already know what to do. And then we can really begin to enjoy it, just like when we're learning dance moves or playing an instrument. It starts off fumbly, but eventually becomes one of the most fun things that you could ever do. Then eventually it will also give us energy and make us feel inspired, liberated, excited, and all of the things. prior to that, to be honest, sometimes it can be draining because it can feel a little bit stressful, like you're trying to learn something new and you don't really know what you're doing, right? So just understand that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Moving energy. Light language is a free flowing of energy. Stuck energy creates illness and imbalance. This energy can be used for healing since it is just free flowing energy. We want you, and in turn, the people who receive your light language, to be as receptive as possible to it. This means creating the right space or setting for it to be happening. And when we are tapping into, like as I've explained, the wave that's just flowing through, the stuck energy that is in our body, like this can be profoundly healing for ourselves. Just doing this practice, letting stuck energy like kind of start flowing, because we will be moving our hands and we will be feeling energy flowing through us. And whatever is stuck and is out of harmony, it will be made manifest and it will be purified through us. Just like when you're doing a cleanse, right? I'm not sure if you've ever done one, but if you're doing a cleanse, or if for yourself you eat the cleanest foods that you possibly can, you start to feel like things are flowing better, right? It's when you're having foods or different things that are not flowing so well that we start to feel stuck. And this is essentially like a clean, it's a purification energy, which is really, really powerful. So we will give you practices and methods to follow along, and you can feel free, of course, to craft your own methods for people that you share your energy with. What we mean is like meditate before you get into it, let them know, feeling it in your crown chakra, like opening up, allowing there to be like a funnel that brings the energy through, feeling safe, making sure that the people are prepped so that you're not just going straight into it. And of course, that is something you're going to be experiencing a lot of as we're going to be guiding you through. So utilize whatever resonates in this program. We're going to give you a few different tools that you are going to see and experience. We're not going to tell you how to do a guided meditation. We're not going to tell you how to do a sound bath. Those are different programs that we have, and you can explore those in different areas of the Academy and or the Master Facilitator program. But essentially what we're doing here is just showing you the template. It's a template, yes. Just disconnect from and don't do whatever doesn't resonate with you, okay? So we're not telling you this is the exact way you have to do anything this way per se. That is not something I believe in whatsoever. But you are better off taking this as a template and doing it all until you've done it all enough times. Then you figure out what you don't like, right? So hopefully that makes sense. What makes you feel yourself right now like you are the most open and receptive? You probably have something. Maybe you like yoga, right? I'm not saying that's going to be the best thing to guide people into this with, but I do know healers that guide people into their sessions with some stretching, some breath work, and then they get into hands-on and or energetic work. So take some notes and start using those practices that you already love. So now let's get into staying protected. The one thing that the most superstitious people love to always overblow. So your intention is you, and therefore you are your own protection. This intention is the highest protection you can possibly ever have, aside from certain modalities, and not aside from, I'd say superior to modalities that you ever choose to do, because those modalities will only ever bring you into a place where you feel more in harmony with your intention, okay? So many people believe in a multitude of things to protect them, and that may be necessary with impure intentions. But if you continually refine your intentions, then that is going to be an ongoing protection that is constantly being upgraded in every single way. Because this is the whole point of being a human, really, is to continually refine our intentions and what we're all about. If you look at your entire life, that is the common thread. You know nothing about yourself when you were 5, 7, 8, 12, however old you are. Think of yourself 10 10 years ago. If you have the same intentions that you had 10 years ago and you feel like the same person, dang, I don't know what to tell you, right? I am personally upgrading all of the time and refining that intention all of the time. And in that way, you stay protected because you have a willingness to see yourself. So aside from that, our lifestyle is the runner up. So if we meditate, exercise, treat ourselves and others well, eat healthy food, then this is going to keep us in a continual pocket of protection, which means that it keeps you high vibe. High vibe is the way that it was explained to me is, let's say if you're in the water, the sharks can get you. If you're flying above the water, sharks can't get you, right? And if we are doing all of these things, we are ascending higher than dense energies have any ability to even interact with us. So working in a similar / familiar space does not have to do with protection in the sense of our intention, but it does have to do with our subconscious mind. And this is something that we cannot, omit, is that we are still a human. We can't just declare to ourselves that, oh yeah, my intention is pure, it's super good, and I'm in this new space that makes me feel very uncomfortable, but I'm just going to do it anyways, right? Sometimes we won't even know that we feel uncomfortable about a space until we get into our vulnerability, which is our channeling state, because we are in an enhanced vulnerable state from that place. So it's always better off to do different things to nourish our subconscious mind and our intentions just anyways, okay? So familiarity is something that must be earned with time. So if we are new, then we should work in similar circumstances with similar people that we trust as much as possible. So if you just start doing this and you're like, I'm going to go on Instagram, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go to this person's house, and I'm going to go over here and start doing it on the bus, dang, that is not going to go over well. I don't even have any stories about anyone doing that because I've never met anyone foolish enough. But you will know once you start getting into this space what feels right, what feels comfortable. But the tenets that are important is similar circumstances, similar space, with similar people that we trust, right? Similar meaning the vibe, right? We don't want to just start doing this for people of a heavy energy, because seriously, what we are evoking here is pure, unadulterated energy. And guess who doesn't like that? Pretty much any beings that are low vibing whatsoever. And what that means is, that's how you start getting the scary dreams. I'll just put it that way, right? And you can't really omit the scary dream stuff, especially when you are vulnerable to it. But you can ease yourself into this. It's like going to the gym. If you just start doing exercises that honestly you have no business doing, it's the same thing here, right? You have no business trying to do this on people that have really heavy energy, maybe even ever. I don't even do that. I've been doing this for 10 years. I have no interest in doing that because I do believe there is a certain, what I'll say again, vibrational proximity for people doing the kind of work that we do, right? It's not for everybody. So even when we venture off and we start doing sessions from different places, it's best to have those people with us as well. So there's people that are the familiar people, the similar people, and work from familiar spaces, which means places that we still feel comfortable in. So if you're working from a yoga studio, maybe you go to yoga, maybe you feel comfortable in that space. And you think about like a rec room in a recreation center or something like that. Like, there are different places where you are going to resonate with, feel familiar, they'll feel sacred. This is all very important stuff. And a lot of people can get into, it's like, oh, you don't know what energy has happened in this place before. And yes, that's true, but in a yoga studio, you can be pretty sure it was yoga. So that being said, all of that, our next steps have to do with what scents we use, what garments, clothes, and jewelry that we wear, and collective preparation of the activation. So when we have different scents, it activates our subconscious mind to be like, frankincense, here we go. Before I go into this state, I smell my frankincense, I put on my necklace, the specific one that I do when I channel, right? I put on this headband, scarf, whatever. Certain colors also important. A lot of people will wear white. And then a collective preparation. So if your subconscious mind already knows that when it hears that smell, when it does this thing, and you're doing breath work, boom, that channeling state starts opening up for you so much easier. Your intention immediately taps right into the last time you are activating this state. And this is basically what we're doing. And this is something I think a lot of people don't necessarily know, is that there's a different vibration we utilize when we're at work, right? There's a different being that comes through. There's a different being that comes through when we are making love, when we are on a hike outside. It is a different being altogether that you are embodying. So what we're doing here is we are activating a new being to come through our system, completely different being. And that being that we are bringing through, when we are doing all of these things, it just helps. It just helps that whole process happen. And eventually, maybe you don't feel like you need to use the sense. Maybe you don't feel like you need to do any of this stuff. But regardless, it's just like a beautiful way to live. It's why a lot of shamans and a lot of, spiritual people and priests and different things, they'll have this ritualistic stuff. And, sometimes people also will just do this all of the time. And that's not what we're looking at, right? We want a specific scent that we use when we're about to go into this state and or do holy work, praying work, something that is indicative of this, okay? So this is how we do our best to bring our show on the road, okay? So when our show is somewhere other than, I live in an apartment. If I'm in my apartment, of course I feel comfortable. I barely even have to do any of this stuff. But if I want to bring my show on the road, I should start, okay, getting some scents that I like, putting on some garments, and doing these different things in my space. So when then I leave my space, I already have a flow of a vibe that makes my whole beingness at ease, my intention feel comfortable, and most importantly, I don't feel like I need to be on the defensive or protect myself from anything. So the more familiarity and the trust that we have, the more that we can surrender easily and let spirit in. Demons, etc., because people always ask about that. There are all kinds of superstitions that we have all but grown out of as humans. Demons are not boogeymen. They are here to show us that we have something that is out of harmony with our highest good and our preferences. They offer resistance and an opportunity to expand. The process of experiencing them can be frightening, okay? Certainly can be frightening and confusing. But how else are you supposed to transmute fear, right? We are evolving into a species that is no longer going to be oriented towards fear. How else are we supposed to transmute that unless we have beings that are here to serve us, to bring it out of us? It is very simple. Very, very simple. It does not have to be complicated. There is nothing to actually fear aside from fear itself. So I heard a rabbi once say, if demons were a mistake, then that implies that God makes mistakes. And whether you believe in God or not, if you just think entire existence is at random, and you think that maybe even you think demons don't exist and spirits don't exist, and in that case that this entire program won't be making much sense to you. But if demons were a mistake, then that implies God makes mistakes. Demons are here to serve us, okay? Just like anything else. Sometimes even more so. Sometimes in times of our life where they are coming through, challenging us, making us evoking our addictions so that we go deeper into our addictions, sometimes challenging us so that we spiral out of control as far as our emotional body is concerned. There are so many different ways that it helps us, because as soon as we spiral down, we wake up. We always wake up from coming to those rock bottoms, dark nights of the soul. They are here to serve us and to take any willpower that we do not take for ourselves and utilize for ourselves. They're here to show us that here is where you are not actually utilizing all of your willpower. You're like, oh, That's okay. Thank you, demon entity, whatever you want to call them. Um, but yeah, if you start buying into the fear and they have power over you, that's just a story, man. It literally is not real at all. It's only real if you make it real. And in that way, have fun unraveling it for yourself. Yeah. So the way that we turn them into our servants is to thank them, to thank fear, to appreciate what it is, and to have the opportunity of that challenge. Remember, once again, they have no power over you unless you give it. And this is the thing. A lot of us are automatically giving it. We are already unconscious, okay? We're starting from unconscious. So we immediately, as soon as we start having this experience, we are giving our power because we think that there's something to be afraid of and there's something to protect ourselves from. That's okay. That's okay. But you can thank it. You can reorient. You can see fear as an opportunity to transmute it. And when we reorient ourselves to the positive frequency, then these don't ruminate because as a human, we are a repetitive pattern. We are just patterning repeatedly and unendingly, okay? That's what being a human is. We're patterning. So if we break the pattern by thanking them, thanking fear and appreciating truly how and seeing how can I appreciate this more? How can I see this as an opportunity to come closer to my highest good? And in the moment where you're experiencing abject fear, you won't be able to think that way. You just let the fear be there. What I'm saying is after, if you condemn it and you go, oh no, that thing, I never want to experience that thing again. It's like, well, you're being a baby because this is life and you got to figure out life is pain, life is suffering, life is discomfort, and this is how we grow. And when we thank it and we reorient ourselves to utilize it in a positive way, you win. That's how you win life. So yeah, this is a whole thing about how to win life. So many people believe somehow that they are not creative. If this is you, then light language is the activation that you have been waiting for. This flow of energy can be used to create just about anything. I hope you are ready and excited for this journey. If you have any questions or concerns, we can make follow-up informational videos. But for now, let's just get to activating because I've been talking here for about 50 minutes, probably just boring you. If I am, I apologize. And I do know for a fact, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter if you've been channeling for a long time, I have said some things that you have not thought about before or you have not heard before or said them in ways that you maybe didn't perceive before. So just soak those things in, let it permeate into you, and if you are ever feeling like you need a little bit of clarity, return back to this video, or you can ask us some questions and we can make follow-up videos. All right, we will see you in the activation section.